Hi everyone. If you're a designer, developer, artist, or just work in product development, one of the most important concepts to understand is that of stage gating. Stage gating is a process by which your product development is broken down into different stages, each with its specific criteria and sign off requirements. So, for example, let's say in the early stage of product development, this is where you want the ideas to flow. You want a lot of creativity to be within the team. So, this is where your concept is just being built, and maybe your early stage kit is called a toy or an early stage kit is called prototype. There can be different names, but essentially it all leads to the same purpose: to try something, to test something, see whether there's an engagement factor or whether there's a fun factor within what you're trying to build, whether it actually is something that excites the team. At this stage, you want to try different ideas. You want to try like 4 to 5 quick prototypes, because the only way to do good product development is to put a lot of prototypes and ideas in the air and then see which ones actually gain traction. So here you're really dirty. You are actually moving very fast. You are constantly building small features upon small features. It's a weekly process and you're gaining velocity. Now, what's going to happen at the end of this stage is some of these ideas are going to click. Some of the product development, or some of the products rather, are going to go like, this is actually really interesting. This could have some legs. Whereas others are going to fail and you will have to kill those ideas. That's another really important aspect of stage gate. It is really helpful to kill ideas early on, because you don't want to be about 1 year into a production idea or about 8 months and then have to reverse engineer everything. So that's just one half of the stage gate. The other half is, as it evolves, there are more stakeholders involved, because as a stage gate process goes from ideation to prototyping to proof of concept to feature locking to content locking, different people will get involved. So early on, it might be just the creative director or your studio director who's involved when the stage gate process is in an ideation stage. But as you require more resources, more budgets, more tools, you might have to kind of bring in different people from the studio, different people from the team. This means that you require more cash flow. This means that you require more dedicated people working on this project. Therefore, at this point, you bring in other stakeholders. This could be your production head in the studio. At some studios, it could be the CEO too. This is where we officially go from prototype or proof of concept to this is a product that we are going to launch, let's say, in 1 year or 2 years. At this point of time, you start picking different people who will fit this product development phase. So you'll pick different engineers, different artists, different designers, ideally based on their strengths, and you start kind of deciding what are the features in the game. You start building a system documentation for the game. At a code level, you start doing an actual architecture. You actually throw away a lot of the what I call spaghetti code, or a lot of put together tape code which was built during the prototype phase, and you really start looking at a system architecture, because this is going into product development and this is going to be released at some point into the market for people to test it out. There's also a phase where you really want to have a tight grip on the kind of tasks that your team is doing, but also how these tasks tie up to the long-term development process. You do not want to go ahead and chase certain tails which will actually lead to nothing important. So again, having your weekly sprints or bi-weekly sprints, making sure that you know the pulse of the product development or the product that's being developed, is really important. At some point during the stage gate process, this is normally along alpha where you're going for feature lock, you want to start bringing in external people, either from the company itself or either your friends, or either just an open call to test out the product. We designers, artists, programmers, developers are extremely biased and are the worst testers of our own product. You need to bring in external people just to see whether this product is engaging enough. This is not a technical test. This is just to understand whether what you're trying to build actually has some kind of a market, actually has some kind of traction going on. And once that kind of is proven, you can move into other phases, like doing a complete feature lock, doing a complete content lock, having technical tests done. Stage gate, when done well, is a process that's gonna hit more successful products than not in the long term, unless of course you're constantly changing the goalpost. It is important to understand that stage gate, again, is just a process, and understanding who comes in at what stage of the process is going to save you a lot of time, money, and hopefully help you build a better product.